Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. Today is Tuesday, August the 6th. I am Bill Allen, sitting in for Winston Chester this morning. We'll start with our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. We've got a high today at 86, low tonight around 77, and winds southwest 5 to 15. Probably be fairly windy with a 50% chance of thunderstorms. So we're basically in that July-August forecast where we've got a chance of thunderstorms every day with a lot of lightning. Be careful. We're looking at 4 tides today. First lows at 4:10 a.m. You've got a high at 4:51 p.m., then a low again at 10:48 a.m. and 7:41 p.m. It's just, it's going to be tough. Water's not moving very much today with the water temperature averaging about 86 degrees. We're looking at Apalachicola at Bluntstown is 3.6, not moving a lot, a little bit of a slight fall towards the weekend. Choctawhatchee, the same thing, it's at 3.4. It's going to be falling a little bit harder getting into Friday and Saturday. It's going to be around 2 feet. Let's go ahead right now and take our first break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. A lot going on right now. Things are starting to heat up. We just got back from scallop trip, our annual scallop trip down to Steinhatchee, Florida. We'll have more on that a little bit later. Scallop season in Port St. Joe opens the August the 15th. I believe that's right. It's a Friday through September the 16th. Another short season. Trying to protect and grow those scallops after, 2 or 3 bad years or off years, and then good old Hurricane Michael plus the red tide. So it's been tough on St. Joe, but I understand that the count over there is pretty decent this year, and am totally in favor of that only being open for a month. So we'll get into more about that Steinhatchee trip in a little bit. And speaking of that, one of my good buddies, Carl Andrews, was up in Alabama with his grandchildren, and they were catfishing, but they were float fishing, which you can do in Alabama, you cannot do here. But there's a little short video that I want to show you, followed by a couple of pictures.
All right, there's another one with a fish on it there. They ain't very big, or he'd have that stood straight up and be running from us. Sometimes they'll carry him under.
It's not bad.
It's a blue cat.
All right, just bring him up to the boat. And John Carl, you pick him, bring him in and put him in the thing. Huh, don't get him on Papa. That's a good size one.
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank Carl for sending those in, and it's just one of the many things you can do, getting your kids out on the water. And I know they had a ball. I talked to them; they did pretty well there. And you've got to look at it from a state to state basis, and even from a zone to zone basis for what the rules are. Of course, float fishing like that is a lot of fun. Those kids were having a great time up there. Have finally gotten back on the water. I want to show you some pictures of back in July the 2nd when Greg Brudnick and I were finally able to get out. And Jeff, we pull those up. You're going to see here, we were on a day that it wasn't a great day, but we got to go. And I mean, that's the most important thing. That's the first time that we have fished in the bay together since the hurricane. He's obviously been very busy, as all of us, and he's got a city to take care of too. But we managed to get out in the afternoon. It was a little cloudy, somewhat choppy, as you could see, but we fished everything that we had and turned out you know, we caught several fish. Had a couple of decent redfish there, and many trout. And when I say that, we unable to fish topwater with the conditions. Although really late in the day, I was able to break it out and catch one pretty nice trout. But used a lot of popping corks to locate them. And again, it's something you need to have with you. It's not just for kids. And we're using gulp underneath them, gulp shrimp, or the Z-Man shrimp, both very effective. It's a great way to find fish. So, you know, a lot of those fish were caught that way. When we located some fish, we started going to the slow sinking Miradines and Paul Browns. And this one just happens to still be laying here, but it's Greg's favorite. And you can tell this one is battle scarred and worn out. But this is a soft bait, feels like bait. It's a Paul Brown, and it's a slow sinking. So you work this top water the same way you would as a top water. It's just beneath the surface, and a lot of times, you know, jerking it real fast, three or four turns, and then just stop and let it just suspend there. And that's where a lot of the strikes happen. And most of them are fairly ferocious, where they're either trailing them or you give them that slight break. But again, you don't want to stop it for too long. Just give it a pause and let it hang there. They're a little on the price. You know, these are about $9 a piece, but this in itself has caught dozens and dozens of fish until it finally just gave out. But again, located them with the popping corks, and then went to the Paul Browns and went to, I was fishing a Miradine, and were able to work, you know, underneath the water, and we wound up having a great day with, it was a great day just getting out, but being able to find fish and working our way around different water depths until we could locate them, it was a great day. We had the opportunity to go last week, and after the break, we'll talk about that a little more, and also about the Steinhatchee scalloping trip and some of the things that are going on in St. Joe. So let's go ahead and take this quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's continue on with the fishing theme, since it's obviously my favorite topic and something I've finally gotten to do. Last week, Greg and I were able to make it out over to East Bay late one afternoon. You know, it's so hot. We didn't actually leave till about 3:30, quarter to 4, but we had a tide that had turned and was falling a little bit, and we debated some, ran around to a spot that, well, I say a spot we haven't fished in a while. We haven't fished over there in a year, but that we used to hit every now and then. So we ran around, started working near shore. I was bouncing a gulp along the shoreline. Greg was using the Paul Brown out in a little bit deeper water, and we just weren't finding any fish. And you start looking at your GPS, and we're registering water temps in that shallow water around 90 degrees, and pretty warm. So we decided to start working our way out into a little bit deeper water, and you got a 1.5, 2 degrees difference when you're out there around that 3.5 foot mark, and made all the difference in the world. The three pictures that we've got here of Greg, that first one is about a 2.5, 3 pound trout that he caught, again using that Paul Brown. But the second one is about 4.5 pounds, and these were, big, healthy fish. But we managed to stay out, watching the bottom machine in 3.5 foot of water, and really didn't run into, catfish or a lot of trash fish. So it was pretty good. We caught trout and some small redfish on a fairly regular basis as long as we stayed out there. And then looking back towards the Tyndall Bridge and north of that, it was getting worse by the minute. It was that dark purple color that was covering most of the sky. And then when the lightning started flashing at a more regular pace, it was an impressive show, but it was also a little scary. We fished as long as we could fish, but with those storms coming in, and you always say on the front side of a storm, the barometric pressure changes and those fish really get active. Well, they were. And we were catching fish pretty steadily over there. So at that point, discretion became the best part. Retreat became the best thing to do. So we decided we had waited all that we could. And hated to leave fish biting, but at some point, safety's got to come in. That storm was moving fast. The wind was getting cool and picking up, and the lightning was just everywhere. Still quite a ways from us, but it was no doubt headed our way. So we packed up and used all 150 horses on the way back in to get back as quickly as possible. And I never thought we would make it all the way back to the Tyndall Bridge, where we had to put in Greg's boats on the trailer because his dock is still torn up from the hurricane. And but we did. We got back with only a light sprinkle, and obviously didn't get electrocuted by lightning. So we got the boat out of the water safely and headed back. But again, hated to leave them, but you have to make good choices there. I was working in a little bit closer, using the 4-inch shrimp. Water was a little stained, so darker colors, and caught some fish, but not wearing them out. But Greg certainly had the big fish of the day, the 2 or 3 big fish of the day, working, like I said, in that 3.5 foot of water. We never went to the popping course, because as soon as we moved out there, we started finding them. And we power pole down, fishing area, move, trying to stay in that same water column to catch those fish. And I guess if there's anything to that, it's good. You have to be flexible till you go out and find them. But try to make good decisions while you're out there, because it gets really, really sketchy. Going back to St. Joe, I know over this past weekend we did not get to participate in it, but there was a scallop rodeo or roundup or whatever, when you volunteer to go out, pick them up, take them to the FWC, and then they redistribute them back into the water. They also do that in Panama City here, trying to keep account and good management going on these scallops. And I understand that it was fairly successful. I don't know where in the bay they were picking scallops up, but I understand that it was fairly successful. So I'm not sure the count in St. Joe, but last year, in the short season was pretty good. And we'll just see what happens from the effects of the hurricane and all the red tide. But I think St. Joe is on the mend, and nature kind of takes care of itself at some point. So again, that's going to be Friday, August the 15th through September the 16th. But you need to look that up and make sure of that. But I'm fairly sure of those dates and those numbers, and I know we're going to be down there that first weekend trying to see what we can come up with. And also, we ran into this in Steinhatchee, and with one of the GPS is not working so great on the 2 boats that we had. A good GPS that's going to show you an overlay of where the deep water is, where the shallow water is. You can adjust it for, gains, so that you have a pretty good idea of how much water you're in. It's crucial for a couple of reasons. One is you don't want to tear your lower unit up or your prop running through water that can turn shallow on you in a heartbeat. And those of you who are at St. Joe all the time know exactly what I'm talking about. But also, you know, you want to avoid running through those real shallow areas and tearing all the grass up, making prop marks in there. You know, we've got to do everything that we can do to, you know, help with the ecosystem, water quality wise, but also, you know, just digging trenches with that prop is not helping anybody. It's destroying grass, and that's, of course, vital to scallops and also to fish. And there have been some real good reports of fish being caught over there. Great time to be there when you don't have a bay full of people scalloping. So, note for the day. All right, let's take this quick break and come back with our last segment. All right, welcome back. I want to start off on this final segment talking about our Steinhatchee trip. I get a lot of questions about that. This is the third or fourth year that we've gone. Jeff's going to pull up these first two pictures, and this is the crew that goes over: Greg and Lynn Brudnicki, Bill and Laura Perry, and Carl and Daryl and Andrews. And you know, all of us have known each other and been friends, played ball together, you know, for 40 years probably. It's a great time over there. The Steinhatchee count was not as good as it has been in the past, so it took a little work. We went to the places we had marked from years past on the GPS, found one or two here and one or two there, and but almost by accident, one of the spots was a little bit deeper at this time, and we actually found most of the scallops in 6 to 8 foot of water and around a lot of those sand holes that were over there. So it was a little bit harder work, and you know, you did find some that were up in the grass columns when we hit different places, but I think the majority of them we got were, you know, in those deeper holes. So you know, we had a great time. We don't leave, get up, have breakfast, leave about 8 or 9 o'clock their time, go out and stay till 1 o'clock or so, come back and, you know, be able to fellowship and sit around and cook. We probably on average got around between 8 people, got around 8 to 9 gallons whole each day. You know, like I said, not tremendous, but not bad, enough to keep it interesting. And, you know, we had a great time doing it. And the thing about, you know, we've rented the same house we got there on Sunday and left on Saturday for the last 3 or 4 years. It's right on the water. You can tell by that picture on the dock. Carl brings that big fan to keep the bugs moving, and we all just sit out there and clean those scallops. Doesn't take long, but it's great fellowship and great fun with a lot of good people. Once we get there, we never leave. I mean, other than to go scalloping, and occasionally in the evening, we'll take one of the boats all together, go ride up the Steinhatchee River, which is right beside, and you know, just, it's kind of old Florida over there. A lot of those small marinas. It's a beautiful ride up there right before sunset, and really enjoy that, and usually do that every time that we're there. Now we do make a trip over to Sea Hag Marina, and they've got, you know, there's everything there. They've got restaurants, they've got places outside, and a lot of people hanging out when boats are coming in. You know, all the shirts and things that they have, but diving stuff, if you didn't bring it with you, snorkeling stuff, fishing gear. I mean, it's one of those places that has everything. And they also have boat rentals over there, so if you don't want to drag a boat and you want to go scalloping, you can rent a boat from them, but also there are 2 or 3 other places over there that rent scalloping boats. And believe me, they've got a bunch of them. So once we get there, we literally never go out to eat. You know, we each cook our specialty, so to speak, where, you know, I'll do a low country boil. Greg makes his lasagna from the Italian Inn. Carl does fantastic ribs on his grill. And Bill Perry does, he does a beef flank steak. It's just fantastic, marinated. So, you know, we eat like kings and blow the diet when we're over there. And one of the things that is very popular for breakfast that Bill does, and that I've been doing now for 3 or 4 years, and now Bill Shields is doing them, is the smoked sausage. You get the Jimmy Dean 2-pound sausage, and this brown sugar bourbon right here, which you can get at Sam's. You know, just coat the heck out of it with that. Now I also will go to Lucky's, and they have bulk breakfast sausage in a big pan there, and I have them do 1.5 pounds per. And so I'll roll those up to make them a little bigger, make them a little, you know, the circumference a little bigger, because I want it to fit those big biscuits. But Billy showed me this 3 or 4 years ago, and you know, you could freeze them, you can take them to the camp with you. We take them over there, have them for breakfast, and they're just fantastic. But now when I get the Lucky's, I use a apple rub. This is an Old Smoky that I get out of Tennessee. The bulk sausage at Lucky's has got a little bit of a bite to it. So this sweetens it up, makes it really very good. But you can use either one of these, coat them down real good, just completely. And yeah, I use a pellet smoker, so I put them on the top rack. You can also put them on the bottom rack. Around 225 for an hour and a half. Take them off, let them cool down, wrap them in tin foil. You can put them in the freezer, pull them out when you're going to the hunting camp, when you're going to the fish camp, for whenever. Heat them up, slice those things, put them on biscuits. They're fantastic. And you can do them on your Weber. Put your coals to the side, you know, just like you're smoking them. I don't do them over direct heat too much, but it's fantastic. And, you know, like I said, it's just everybody that's ever had it just raves about it. But, you know, we had a great time. We really enjoyed it. We're starting to get out on the water again. We're easing towards fall a little bit. You know, it's time to, you know, it's time to really get active. So I hope you've enjoyed today. I've enjoyed being here. Do something good for somebody, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.